The Mid-Michigan Brass Band was founded in 2014. Three of our founding members, Jim Schutz on E-flat tuba, Mary Huss on tenor horn, and Dave Sully on cornet, still perform with us today. We've had numerous conductors over the last 10 years, starting with Matt Tayton and Megan Bernard during our inaugural year. They were followed by Karen Welser, Brandon Jarashin, Dr. Norman Wika, Dr. James Long, and our newest conductor, a former student member of our band that joined during his sophomore year of high school, Quentin Larian. Over the past 10 years, we've received thousands of dollars in grants and support. A significant part of the support has been used to acquire some of the instruments you see here on stage, including most of the percussion. Those grants also paid for sheet music and the commissioning of 2 pieces, Brass Alive for our 5th anniversary and The Rising for our 10th anniversary. We have a sister band in England, the Pangbourne and District Silver Band. Occasionally, members of our 2 bands join together for tours of exotic places, such as Mid-Michigan in 2014, the Whit Friday celebration in England in 2015, the 2016 tour of Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, the 2019 Uper tour, and the 2022 tour of Southern England. We are currently planning another Michigan tour for August of 2025. Finally, the next piece. Our next piece, Penley, produced by Simon Dobson, composed by Simon Dobson, tells the tragic story of the loss of the Penley lifeboat, the Solomon Brown, on the 19th of December of 1981. The Penley Lifeboat Station, located near the town of Penzance in Cornwall County on England's rugged southwest coast, has been saving lives in Mounts Bay for over 200 years. The composer was raised with the full knowledge of the story, having been born just a few weeks before the fateful night itself. I'd like to now share some of Dobson's program notes for the piece. He says, in order to represent the story faithfully, the music starts in a positive mood as the Union Star makes her way in calm weather through the Straits of Dover. As the vessel continues on her voyage past the Cornish coast, she receives a weather warning. The level of dissonance in the music increases as the weather worsens and drowns out the hint of Christmas cheer. Alarm is felt as the Union Star radios for assistance. With its engines stopped, the Union Star captain realizes that the vessel is in trouble. Assistance will be needed to get everyone off the ship, including his own family. Realizing the situation is only going to get worse, the Coast Guard sends word to the crew of the Solomon Brown lifeboat. The decision is made to send a helicopter into the terrible weather to try and help the stricken vessel. Its attempts and failure to help in the situation are represented in the music. At 7:40 p.m., the crew of the Solomon Brown launches into a near force 10 storm. The lifeboat can be heard battling against the extreme weather. According to the helicopter pilot, the Penley lifeboat rescued all but 2 of the Union Star passengers. This can be heard in the welling up and eventual dissipation of the heroic theme. The horrors of the subsequent events can only be guessed. At 9:21 p.m., radio contact was lost and both boats perished. In the music, lament is heard. The music ends with a quote from the tone poem Resurgam by Eric Ball, proclaiming, "The souls of the righteous are in the hands of God." We hope you enjoy our rendition of Penley. Our next tune, Time Remembered, Elegy for Band, was composed by English writer Philip Spark. While studying composition, trumpet, and piano at the Royal College of Music, he became interested in bands, playing in the college wind band and forming a brass band among the students. He also composed music for both ensembles. Once his published composition began to appear, he became a sought-after composer of commissioned work for individual bands, various band associations, and the BBC. He has composed test pieces for brass band championships around the world, and his compositions are constantly in use by brass bands. The arrangement of Time Remembered, Elegy for Band, was commissioned by the NSK RHP Ransom Band to celebrate their 60th anniversary and was dedicated to the memory of Ken Reynolds, a former president of the band. In case you were wondering what NSK RHP stands for, NSK are the initials of the Japanese ball bearing manufacturer Nippon Seiko K. I couldn't figure out what the K stands for, which produces industrial bearings. RHP stands for the Ransom Hoffman Pollard Company, which were Britain's largest bearing manufacturer when they were acquired by NSK in 1990. What does this even matter, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. British-style brass bands date back to England's Industrial Revolution in the early 19th century and were an outgrowth of medieval waits, and that's spelled W-A-I-T-S. Okay, so what are waits? Waits were groups of medieval watchguard musicians that would wander around town playing their instruments to let everyone know that they were on duty. Apparently, once urbanization came about, employers began to finance work bands to decrease political activity. So there you go. If you happen to be cynical and are a fan of conspiracy theories, brass bands are just another big tool big business uses to control the masses. Now, I assure you, the Mid-Michigan Brass Band is not in the pockets of any big businesses, which is why we need grants I talked about earlier. Okay, finally, please enjoy Philip Sparks' Time Remembered. We next present a march composed by Christopher Bond for the Camborne Trevithick Day Committee for the celebration of the town's 30th Trevithick Day on the 27th of April of 2013. Camborne is a small town in Cornwall, England, and on that day, 6 Cornish brass bands paraded through the streets, one after the other, performing the work. The structure of this piece is formed from both existing Cornish tunes, such as Trelawney and Camborne Hill, as well as original material. In case you're wondering what is celebrated on Trevithick Day, I know I was. It's a celebration of Camborne's most famous resident, Richard Trevithick. He was the inventor of the London steam carriage, the Puffing Devil, which was an early steam-powered roll vehicle constructed in 1803 and the world's first self-propelled passenger-carrying vehicle. It was equipped with a firebox enclosed within the boiler with one vertical cylinder. The motion of the single piston was transmitted directly to the driving wheels by means of connecting rods. It was reported as weighing over 3,000 pounds fully loaded, with the speed of 9 miles per hour on a flat grade. Trevithick ran this for several hundred yards up a hill with several people hanging onto it. Unfortunately, while the driver and passengers were in a pub celebrating the event, it set fire to the shed in which it had been left unattended and was destroyed. Here's another interesting, or not, piece of trivia. When this piece was performed at Camborne's 30th Trevithick Day, Christopher Bond was only 21 years old and still had another year of studying composition at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, from where he graduated in 2014. After this piece, we will be taking a short 10-minute intermission. You came back. Next up, we feature our tenor horn section, including Taylor.
You're one ahead.
Yes, I am. Welcome back. It's right on there. John Williams is probably my favorite composer. An American composer and conductor, Williams' career has spanned 7 decades, during which he has composed some of the most popular, recognizable, and critically acclaimed film scores in cinema history. He received 5 Academy Awards for Best Original Score for Fiddler on the Roof, Jaws, Star Wars, E.T., and Schindler's List. I'm sure you're familiar with several other scores he's composed, most notably Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan, Catch Me If You Can, War Horse, Lincoln, The Fabelmans. He also scored Superman, the first 2 Home Alone movies, and the first 3 Harry Potter films. And the opener for our second half of the concert this afternoon, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Indiana Jones franchise. Okay, this time we feature our tenor horn section, including Taylor Anderson, Mary Huss, and Demi, and I apologize for what I'm doing to your name here, Wolosinovich. Here, There, and Everywhere is a song by the English rock band The Beatles from their 1966 album Revolver. A love ballad, it was written by Paul McCartney and credited to both John Lennon and McCartney. McCartney includes it among his personal favorites of the songs he has written. McCartney began writing Here, There, and Everywhere at Lennon's house in Weybridge, England, in early June, as he was waiting for Lennon to wake up. McCartney recalled, "I sat out by the pool on one of the sun chairs with my guitar and started strumming in E. And soon I had a few chords, and I think by the time he'd woken up, I had pretty much written the song. So we took it indoors and finished it up." When discussing the song, McCartney has often cited the Beach Boys' God Only Knows, his favorite pop song of all time, as a source of inspiration. Rolling Stone magazine noted that the tune's chord sequence bears Brian Wilson's influence, ambling through 3 related keys without ever fully settling into one. And the modulations, particularly the one on the line, "Changing my life with the wave of her hand," deftly underscores the lyrics, inspired by McCartney's girlfriend, actress Jane Asher. And now, I present to you our tenor horn trio. So, how do you follow up a tenor horn trio? With a cornet trio, of course, including Jaron Egan, Gabe Krish, and Quinton Larian, with lead cornet Morgan Lilly conducting. Up next, we have a little tune, happy little tune, that features a trio of our solo cornets, Trumpeter's Lullaby, arranged by Naohiro Iwai and scored for brass band by Klaas van der Vold. This piece is based on a short composition for solo trumpet and orchestra titled A Trumpeter's Lullaby, written by American composer Leroy Anderson in 1949. Anderson stated that A Trumpeter's Lullaby had its beginning backstage at Symphony Hall in Boston. In addition to composing and conducting, I was arranger for the Boston Pops Orchestra for a number of years, and after one of the concerts, I was sitting talking with the conductor, Arthur Fiedler, and the first trumpet of the Boston Pops, Roger Voisin. Suddenly, Roger said, why I didn't write a trumpet solo for him to play with the orchestra that would be different from traditional trumpet solos, which are all loud, martial, or triumphant. After thinking it over, it occurred to me that I had never heard a lullaby for trumpet, so I set out to write one, with a quiet melody based on bugle notes played by the trumpet, and with the rest of the orchestra playing a lullaby in the background. Please enjoy this brass band arrangement of Trumpeter's Lullaby. Now we present a suite of 3 English folk songs, including 2 marches titled 17 Come Sunday and Folk Songs from Somerset, which sandwich an intermezzo titled My Bonnie Boy. This suite is one of English composer Ralph Vaughan Williams' most famous works. It was first published for the military band as Folk Song Suite, and its premiere was given at Kneller Hall in July of 1923, conducted by Lieutenant Hector Atkins. The piece was then arranged for full orchestra in 1924 by Vaughan Williams' student, Gordon Jacob, and published as English Folk Song Suite. The piece was later arranged for British-style brass band in 1956 by Frank Wright and published as English Folk Song Suite. All 3 versions were published by Boosey and Hawkes. What a great name. Note the use of 3 different titles for 3 different versions. The suite uses the melodies of 9 English folk songs, 6 of which were drawn from the collection made by Vaughan Williams' friend and colleague, Cecil Sharp. So not only are there 3 suites, but the first suite includes 3 different melodies. The second suite includes 2 melodies, and the third suite includes 4. We hope you enjoy Vaughan Williams' English Folk Songs Suite. Before we get to our final selection, we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this afternoon, and also thank other folks who made this concert possible. Bullock Creek Schools and Jason Tisdale for providing us with this outstanding venue. The Midland Community Television Network for our concert production, and Ann Leonard, Mid-Michigan Brass Band's librarian. We also need to thank some other very important people, our contributors, including the Roland M. Gerstacker Foundation, the Alden and Veda Dow Foundation, the J.H. Walker Foundation, and Jamie Broderick at Bricks Real Estate Experts. If you've enjoyed tonight's concert, please consider a donation to our band so we can continue to perform for you. Donation boxes are located near the exits. Finally, details on the location of our concerts will be communicated once finalized on our Facebook page and on our website at www.midmichiganbrassband.com. The song, My Way, popularized by Frank Sinatra in 1969, is set to the music of the French song Comme d'habitude, French for as usual, composed by Jacques Revaux with lyrics by Gilles Thibodeau and Claude Francois. It was first performed in 1960 by Claude Francois and was at the top of the French pop chart for 1 week in February of 1968. Paul Anka heard the French original while on holiday in the south of France and enjoyed it so much he flew off to Paris to negotiate the rights to the song. He was able to acquire those rights for $1, as long as the melody's composers got to retain their original share of the royalty rights with respect to whatever versions Anka, or as it designates, created or produced. Back in the States, Anka was having dinner in Florida with Frank Sinatra, where Sinatra supposedly said, "I'm quitting the business. I'm sick of it. I'm getting the hell out." So, to help out his pal, Anka rewrote the original French song for Sinatra, subtly altering the melodic structure and changing the lyrics. Now, according to Anka, at 1 o'clock in the morning, I sat down at an old IBM electric typewriter and said, if Frank were writing this, what would he say? And I started, metaphorically, and now the end is near, and I started, and I read a lot of periodicals, and I noticed everything was my this and my that with Sinatra. We were in the me generation, and Frank became the guy for me to use to say that. I used the words I would never use. I ate it up and spit it out. But that's the way he talked. I was used to being around steam rooms with the Rat Pack guys. They liked to talk like mob guys, even though they would have been scared of their own shadows. Anka would finish the song later that morning, and in an interview said, I called Frank up in Nevada, he was at Caesar's Palace, and said, I've got something really special for you. According to Anka, when my record company caught wind of it, they were very upset, that's not the word he used, that I didn't keep it for myself. I said, hey, I could write it, but I'm not the guy to sing it. It was for Frank, no one else. We hope you enjoy Alan Fernie's brass band arrangement of My Way. Please drive home safely. We want to see you at our autumn concert on October 20th. Joining us for that concert will be the Capital City Brass Band.
Thank you.